So welcome to CapMac tonight. And I should say welcome to a joint meeting with CapMac and GAMUG. And we have a lot of things here, and we're going to come to some introductions in a moment. But this is our normal thing here and our membership and so forth. I know we have a lot of visitors, but I'm going to ask you to hold off for a moment until we can address everyone at one time. So tonight we're doing a joint meeting with the Gateway Area Macintosh Users Group in St. Louis. Glen House and I have been communicating for what, a year and a half about things Mac and about the possibility of doing some kind of a joint meeting. And that started to build some steam. Nathan has worked with Glen to set up tonight's meeting. So this gives you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to do. We're going to have some presentations by CapMac members, some by GAMUG members. So the first thing we're going to do, though, is to introduce the officers for both organizations. I'll do CapMac, and then Glen can take care. I'll stop my screen share and let Glen handle GAMUG. So our board is essentially the same as last year. The only difference is Robert has dropped off the board and Tom Morris has joined our board. I don't have photos yet to put up here, but I will have them for next time so that you can actually, if you don't know, you can see what each of us look like. Our board meetings are always the first Wednesday afternoon of the month. Now, that being said, and if I recall, I think every board member is present tonight. So you look at the matrix of people on board and you'll see all of these members there. So let me stop my share now and turn this over to Glen so he can introduce the folks from GAMUG. As soon as I figure out, there we go. All right, Glen, it's yours.
You know, all that share, stop, share, do all that stuff seems real simple until you're like trying to run things and make sure everything goes smoothly. Like, where the heck is that button? I can't remember.
Trying to talk and use the screen and keyboard at the same time is a challenge.
Well, what I'd like to do, and I don't want to catch Ron here by surprise. Ron, I know you like to introduce everybody.
No, Glenn, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Ron usually kind of does this with kind of a few things to introduce everybody. And you can see Ron Mueller down there waving his hand. Ron is our secretary. Is that correct, Ron?
Yep.
Yep. And then also we have John Connor, who is the president. And then you see Steve Maynard, who is, along with myself, are the two vice presidents. And I do not believe that is Alan. I don't see Alan with us tonight. Alan is our treasurer, and he is not with us tonight. And that is it, John, if you want to.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll share my screen again so I can continue on with my slides. Did it do it? There we go. All right. So where are we at? Okay. We have in CapMac a number of appointed positions to help facilitate our meetings and other things that are going forward. These are the tentative positions for 2024. I do ask that each of you that's listed here follow up with me, please, and confirm that you're going to continue in your position. If I don't hear from you in a week or two, I'll start pestering you for that confirmation. The one thing I wanted to bring up is the last item on the list, CapMac History Committee. One of the things we discussed at our last board meeting was trying to reach out to some of our older members, some that may not even be, some of the people may not even be active members, but try to gather up some of the history of CapMac. So what I'm asking for, is there any of our members out there that would like to participate in this, either be on that committee to help talk to folks and gather data, or chair the committee and drive the whole thing. If you are the one that's interested in doing that, send either a direct email to me at my personal email address, or you can send it to president@capmac.org, and that will work just as well. You know, a lot of folks are getting older these days, so it's time to reach out to them and try to gather the data we can while we can still talk to them. So again, if you're interested in that, let me know and we will start doing that.
About presidential immunity, just at a lay level, just as a citizen to citizen.
Please mute their mic, please. Thank you. Our meetings have been by Zoom for what, 3 years now? Coming up on 4 years. And one of the benefits of doing it by Zoom is we can record those meetings, and they are all stored out in our YouTube channel. Thanks to Robert Frazier for taking care of that, and Bill O'Barr for handling the index into the meeting. So if you missed something or you want to see a topic that was covered in the past, go to our YouTube channel and you can view all those past meetings. We tend to have a help desk at the beginning of every meeting. We're going to come back to that in just a minute because not all of the GAMUG folks might have been here at 6:30. So there's going to be a little more Q&A here in a moment. But generally for CapMac, the first half hour of our meeting is never recorded, and just everybody can ask whatever technical questions they have, or like tonight, why we digressed in various directions, talking about this, that, and everything. But that's an opportunity for you to get answers to technical questions. If you have a question between meetings, you can put something up on the Slack channel or send an email to CapMac, president@capmac.org, and I will get that question to our help desk team. Now, something we talked about at our last board meeting was doing a women's SIG. Jill Frazier has been interested in trying to have some coffee-like meetings, but ones that are led by women, and try to mostly attract the women in CapMac, but you know, I think that they'll let us guys in there if we are nice. But the question here is, how many of you would be interested in doing that? And I'm really asking this question of the women in the group. Would you like to have a separate meeting every so often, every other month, once a quarter, something like that? What day or time you'd like to have it? If you're interested, send an email to Jill. I've got her email address here, and I will follow this up with a specific email about this as we get more information and some possible times. So look for an email in the coming weeks. Or if you have a quick question right now and Jill's on, I think Jill's in the group, you can ask her right now if anyone has a question. Okay, hearing nothing, I'm thinking there's no questions for the moment, so we will move on. I did not do a newsletter this month. I just ran out of time, and frankly, I wasn't finding enough to really make it worth putting it together. So I'll resume that in February, and it'll have everything in it that I've had started to include in this particular issue. We have put 6 out there, and they all are still available if you're interested. I did have a special request that came in from Nancy. Nancy's been ill and says she really didn't feel like she could talk tonight because her voice was not very good right now. But Quasi had contacted her, and another immigrant is going to UT, or he's been accepted, but he's in need of a laptop and really can't afford one. As you all may remember, we provided, or CapMac provided Quasi a laptop when he was starting at UT. And Quasi graduated this past spring or the one before with his PhD. So he has really use that to its most advantage. So the question is, if anyone has a device that Quasi's friend might be able to use, let me know. Again, president@capmac.org, and we will set up something. Now I see Nancy right at the top of my screen here, so let me ask Nancy, and you can nod or whatever. Is that cover exactly what you wanted to convey to the members?
Mhm.
All right. So again, if you think about it, you have something that might be useful, let us know so we can help them out. All right. News of interest. I don't have a lot. The only thing I want to mention again is because Apple user groups worldwide have access to some discounts. I have to say there's not a lot of them, and they don't change much from month to month, but this is the last group of offers that are available. If you are interested in taking advantage of that, send an email to president@capmac.org, and I'll send you the codes that you need to log in and get this discount. And while we're not, well, Koki's going to share a short tip in a little bit, but always keep in mind that we're looking for those of our members to share tips. It can be a how-to, it can be an app that you find that's really useful, another topic to share. One of the big things we try to do is to share little pieces of information so that we can all learn new things every time we meet. So if you have something to share, contact myself or Nathan so you can be included in a future program. So that is the end of my slide deck. Let me ask, and let me unshare at the same time, is anyone have any questions right now? If not, and not seeing anyone raise their hand virtually or otherwise, so I'm going to now turn this over to Glenn, because you have a Q&A and what did you get for Christmas kind of session you wanted to run.
Well,
Glenn, it's
just
all
sort of
yours.
piggybacking, although I do want to, real quick before we start, I just want to ask Ron Mueller if there's any like notes that you need to throw out there for GAMUG people. Ron, you're muted there.
No.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. So I just thought it might be, kind of a fun topic to see if anybody, whether it's some new hardware they got, or maybe some software they got, or a peripheral or anything like that, that maybe you got, as a gift or bought a gift for yourself that maybe you just wanted to share with the group and tell us what you got. Might be interesting to some people.
The
Okay.
tough crowd tonight.
Yeah, I guess that's a no.
I got the iPhone. What is it? What is my phone now? I got the titanium one. What number are we at?
15. That would be
15.
It's the 15 plus. Sorry.
And how do you like
And
it so far?
I really like it, except for it dropped a lot of my stuff and I'm having to re-log into things and stuff. So I was disappointed about that part. But so
To me,
far, I
that's-
love it.
To me, that's
love-
always the worst thing about getting a new phone is I will spend my evening going and re-logging into everything that I have to re-log into. And that usually seems to take a couple hours with all the things that I have.
It does tell you though that if your ID is or anything is compromised, it will let you know and it'll say, like I have 14 of them that I had to change and stuff. So anyway, it'll tell you that so you can change your password. which is good. I like that. And the print is really wonderful on it. I'm visually impaired and I can read it just on the normal print. And I usually put it up the large print, but I can see it really good. It's really bright and clear, and
That's
I really
great.
like that.
Which color did you say you got?
I got the 15 plus, and
no,
I got the titanium one.
So it's well, there are a couple different titanium colors. Somebody help me out with that. I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
there are, but that's for the iPhone 14s, the plain ones. The plain ones are the ones that have the colors.
Oh,
But
so
if you want,
okay, you just have the natural color.
yeah. I just, well, I have the titanium phone. The other ones are made a titanium too, I think, but they're different colors. They have color on them. And because the iPhone Pro and the Max are just plain titanium, no coloring on it, except other than the titanium. And then
Well,
I have a dark blue case on mine.
okay. Well, thanks for
Eileen raised her hand.
Yeah, I bought myself the new iPhone 15 Max Pro, white, and I also bought the new iMac purple. So far, like them both. I had the Apple do the data transfer on both of them because I wasn't going to mess with that. It only took me 3 hours on 2 phone calls with HP to get 2 of my older HP printers to connect, which initially they told me could not be connected, but we finally got them to connect. And it took me an hour and a half with Microsoft to get the Office 365 to let me do something besides read documents. And I have 2 more software programs that I haven't had time to check out yet. Other than that, everything seems to be up and running, and it certainly loads quickly. The iMac loads very, very quickly. Very pleased with that. Have not tried the telephoto lens on the 15 Max Pro yet, but I'm looking forward to trying that because I like photography and I have a Leica camera. So I'm hoping part of the time that it won't do telephoto as far as the Leica, but it'll do it better than the old one at least.
Well, I've got the 15 Pro Max as well, and I've been really happy with the pictures I've been taking with it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you will as well.
Yeah, I'm happy with the phone's battery life. I turn it on by 7 in the morning and don't turn it off till 10 at night, and it's pretty well lasting the entire day. I'm getting down in the 25% maybe by the end of the day if I've done a lot of gaming and such on it, but using it a lot. But otherwise it's lasting quite a while. Pleased with that.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the battery there because so I've been using and somebody help me because it's escaping me at the moment. You put your phone in landscape mode and it now has like the kind of the clock on there and some other features. I'm trying to think what the name is.
Standby.
Standby. Thank you. The only thing I don't like about that is that you don't want to have your phone plugged in all the time, but if you want to use standby mode at night, which I like to, because that's right now it's the only clock I have in the bedroom. We have in our bedroom, and you've got to have it plugged in to do that. So now I've got my phone plugged in all night, every night.
I do just to recharge mine and make sure it's ready to go the next day anyway.
I think Patty has a hand up there.
I do. So I bought myself something from 12 South called a hover bar tower. And it holds not only my iPhone and my iPad mini, but it also holds my very large iPad. And it has a heavy base. It has an arm that you can move up and down and around. And I find that it's really handy, and I had it in one place up until about an hour ago, and then I moved it where I could sit down in my favorite chair and put it next to me so that it could hold my iPad while the meeting was going on. I highly recommend it. They also make another one that's a table mount. If you don't want something that sits on the floor, you can mount it to your bedside table or your kitchen table or whatever. and it does basically the same thing, but it doesn't have, that one doesn't have the base that sits on the floor. So
Patty, how is the construction of it? Is it well made?
it's heavy,
Okay.
and it came in a small box that the base basically was the size of the base, and it has several pieces in the bar that goes up that you screwed together. So if you wanted it to be shorter, you could take one of the pieces out and have it sit shorter. And then it has an arm that swivels back and forth and up and down, and the iPad can swivel, horizontally or vertically. And like I said, it holds each of my gadgets, not at the same time, but when it's in the unused position, it's small enough, about the size you could put your iPhone in, but you can stretch it out far enough to put your big iPad in.
Yeah, I've been looking at one of their other items that it's a little stand that you put your iPhone, it kind of sticks up and your iPhone goes on that, and there's room for to be able to charge your watch or something else on the base. And that's what I was asking about the construction.
Well, they've got the things that I've bought from them before, I've really liked, and I've been kind of eyeing this and decided to buy it for myself. The other one that goes on will either sit on a table or clamp to a table. It's called the Hoverbar Duo. So
Okay,
worth
well,
checking out
great. Thanks for sharing.
anytime.
All right. Anyone else?
Mm, Glenn, should I mention the two that you and I talked about before, or am I getting ahead of myself?
Well, I think the watch thing I'm going to have you discuss when I'm doing my goodies. So was there what else? There was something else, so I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was very much like what we've talked about. It was the combined the MagSafe based charger, combined charger for watch, AirPods Pro, and phone from Anchor. I don't want to get too much into this because I'll be bumping up against what Glenn's going to be talking about. But basically, I've replaced the very old, still working but not always reliable alarm clock that I've been using for quite a few years with this Anchor product that is it's actually a small cube. It's about maybe 2.5 inches on a side, with a drawer that comes out to the right that provides a place to magnetically charge your watch. And then there is a swiveling top, which if you swing it open will then, and the top has a saucer-like depression. It's bag safe for your phone. Now, if you pull that, if you rotate that top up enough, then it opens up a space where you could charge the case for your AirPods Pro if you have one of the magnetically chargeable. If you have the AirPods Pro that have the magnetic charging case. So 3-in-1. I've got some photos of the thing that I can submit to Ron or to John Purvis or whoever might be able to share these in the on the maybe about what we usually do at GAMUG is if we have something else, I guess we send these photos to Ron, who puts them up on the GAMUG website. I don't know, John, if we send anything like that to you, if you can put them on the CapMac website, if that would be welcome. If so, I'd be happy to do it.
We can get it to there.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, John. Okay, I look, that seems to be it, unless anybody else has anything else. I just thought it might be fun after the holidays just to share any new products people got. Although maybe it'd be worth putting that out ahead of time so people can have like a little, like I said, something we can look at some of these things. It's almost hard to visualize as everybody talks about their products. But thanks everyone for sharing that stuff. All right, John, I believe I'm next with my goodies then.
You are.
All right. So for our CapMac people, every month I do something, beginning of early in our meeting, I should say, and it's called Glen's Goodies. I named it that the first month I did this and never came up with a better name, so it's kind of stuck. And what I do with this is I just try to, yeah.
Let me interrupt. I thought you were going to talk about how we got to here and the whole idea.
You're right. Thanks for reminding me. So before I get to my goodies, I'll get back to that in a second. You know, as John mentioned before, I had contacted him. It's been about 1.5 years. We had started to have discussions at GAMUG, you know, just as our numbers and our membership have shrunk over recent years. Our group has been around since the 1980s. And, you know, we're trying to rack our brains. How do we keep this thing going, you know, for the long term? How do we, you know, try to increase our group numbers? And so we just were, you know, trying to think of ideas. And so I started to gather information on other Mac user groups around the United States. And I started to send out emails just to see what other people are doing. And unfortunately, I didn't get as many responses as I would have liked. I heard from maybe 5 or 6 different user groups, but John was the one that I kind of started to have a conversation with. And, you know, like I said, this is, and I know, you know, Terry had asked in our pre-meeting time, you know, about, oh, is this going to become something permanent? Well, I don't know where, you know, people want to go for the future. Maybe we decide we'd like to somehow integrate. Maybe we want to do this occasionally. Maybe, you know, that can be kind of a talk for after this. But I just think that, you know, when you look at both of our groups, you know, the one obvious thing is the demographics. Our group is, you know, we're getting older, and a lot of us have been, you know, with our respective groups for, you know, in some cases, decades. And so it really was just a matter of how can we, you know, keep this going for a while longer? How can we add more of a dynamic, you know, kind of meeting? Because I know that when we go back in time to our meetings and we had, you know, many more people coming to the meetings, there were, and obviously they were very different because we were meeting in person versus what we do now, but there was just a different dynamic to it. And I feel like as we've shrunk, it feels like it's harder to capture that. And so that's why I started reaching out to other groups. And so, you know, as some people brought up, you know, I think it was Tom Weaver was talking about the London group and how they're drawing people from all over the place. And you know, I think that many Mac groups are trying to figure out, well, how do we, you know, keep going? How do we, you know, keep making this a worthwhile, functioning, dynamic, you know, organization that we have going? And so that was my motivation. And, you know, it also happens to work out really well that we're in the same time zone and that we also happen to have our meetings on the same day and time every month. So it's easy to do a joint thing. I know that, you know, like you're saying, talking about the London group, or I know the group down in Sarasota, the Southwest Florida group, has integrated some other Mac user groups, and, you know, their meetings are during the days. And, you know, for some people it's, you know, they're not able to attend those. So I still like the idea of doing a meeting in the evening, but anyway, that was sort of the background of how this came about. And as John and I talked, I had, you know, just talked about maybe we could do something together sometime. And that came about. And then John put me in touch with Nathan, and we started to put together a program. And I know I was pestering Nathan as he was down at Disney World. So I apologize for that, Nathan. I was just trying to get things together as the end of the year was approaching. So anyway, that was what was behind all of this. And John, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
And finding the right button on my desk. I think you covered it well, Glenn.
Okay. All right. Well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here. Well, hold on a second.
should probably add real quick that the San Antonio user group folded and they have a bunch of members from that have merged into our group.
Okay. Which would make sense because I would imagine you guys are the closest one to them.
Yes, we're about 100 miles away.
All right. Okay, can everybody see what I'm sharing with you guys? Yes, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So as I was telling our CapMac audience, this is something that I do on a monthly basis. I have something called Glen's Goodies, and my kind of what I try to achieve with my goodies is I try to mention some relevant news that has come up. I try to do some tips and tricks in here that might be useful to people. And then I try to usually round up with a little bit of something kind of fun or humorous or whatever. So, so that's my goal. And I'm hoping you all find it useful as well. Before I actually get into it, I just heard some news today that I did not include in here. So if anybody is going to be in the market, is interested in the new Vision Pro, I just heard today those are going to be released to the public. You can start buying them on February 2nd. So that'll be coming up here in what, about 4 weeks here. All right. My first thing I have here, well, I'll guess that's not going to start on its own. So to set the stage for what I was not supposed to start again, to set the stage for what I was going to talk about, there was a news story come out, and Apple confirms that the government is using push notifications for spying. So I thought for those of you who are James Bond aficionados, I thought that would be a good way to introduce that. So I'm going to read a little bit. I want to just read this from the article that was in iDrop News that Jesse Hollington did that I read. And I don't know how many of you have heard anything about this, but Apple has just shared details on a secret government order it's been under for some time that's required it to covertly track and surveil its users via push notifications sent to their iPhones and other Apple devices. While Apple has been prohibited from disclosing details on this program, the company was grateful to see the gag order effectively lifted when U.S. Senator Ron Wyden penned a letter to the Department of Justice urging it to permit Apple and Google to inform their customers and the general public about demands for smartphone app notification records. In other words, the U.S. Department of Justice has required both Apple and Google to share information on push notifications that travel through their servers, sometimes with little more than a subpoena to justify the request. And they haven't been allowed to tell anybody about it. So this has just become public recently. Even though messaging apps like iMessage and WhatsApp are end-to-end encrypted, and Facebook Messenger is now joining the club, most of them suffer from one dangerous loophole. The push notifications sent to your device still travel in the clear. Plus, on an iPhone, they're associated not just with the person's third-party messaging account, but also with their Apple ID. This means that a push notification can be used to tie a user to their Apple ID, which Apple says may be obtained with a subpoena or greater legal process. So I don't know that I'm overly concerned about this. I know some of our members are more concerned about the privacy aspects of this than others. But this has just come to light that, the government has been doing this. So I'm not too worried about what I'm putting through these messages or notifications, but I did think it was a very interesting story that, the government's had Apple and Google, I guess, on a gag order that they haven't been able to share this until now.
Excuse me, could you share what's meant by the push notifications? I don't always have push turned on an app, and I don't know if that's a strategy where you don't get push notifications? Could you just explain a little bit how that works?
Well, as I understand it, and feel free for anybody else to jump in who might understand this stuff better than I do. But I'm just, to me, I think it's just a notification that is being sent to your device through these apps. And if anybody can speak to that further, jump in here. So
What I think
that's
this means is that your incoming text messages are subject to this type of snooping, but your outgoing ones wouldn't be. And furthermore, if you turn off notifications for a particular app, my thought is the Apple server probably still receives the notifications and can hoard them and send them to the government, but they just don't pass it to your phone because you didn't want to be bothered with them. That's what I suspect the meaning is here.
Terry, you're probably right on most of that. That sounds right to me, Terry. Although then if it's true about only incoming and not outgoing, but when you're sending it, it's still going through probably their servers somewhere. So,
The outgoing one would have to be gotten from the other person's account,
Yeah.
Apple or Google account, when their incoming is being snooped.
Right.
So the government would have to subpoena the records for both ends of a conversation that happened through texting, or both ends of a conversation that happened to a messaging app. They'd have to subpoena both sides to get the whole picture.
Correct.
Hey, Glenn,
Yeah.
this is Alan. I
Yeah.
believe that the push notifications is just telling you that you do have a message from a certain person. It's what appears on your thing. So they're not telling you what's in the notification, not telling you what's in the message, just the fact that you got one. And that's all that's being shared with the government.
Well,
That's my opinion. That's what I've read.
Then I wonder, what is the government getting out of that? Where would they go from there with that?
Well, they might connect both ends like Terry was talking, but they don't have any information. And if you turn off notifications, then they have no reason to send them. I don't think they're hoarding them. I think they just save that for you. I think she's right that if you turn off notifications, you are sidestepping this.
Actually, I don't think you'd be sidestepping it, and here's why. App developers' app server requests to send a push notification out, and Apple still gets that, I think, and Apple server makes a decision whether or not to send it on to the phone. And so if an app's server tries to send out a push notification to you, even if you turned it off, Apple might still hear about it, and they might be able to collect the text content of the push notification and send it to the government on one of these subpoenas. That's what I suspect may be the case.
Well, thanks, Terry, and thanks, Alan, for jumping in and helping to answer Ginger's question. But by the way, while I've got Alan here, I was trying to introduce Alan earlier. He wasn't with us yet. Alan is the treasurer for GAMUG. So, all right. I have a second bit of news, and this was about the Apple, that should say Apple ban. That is a mistake there. Sorry on the typo, not banned. To Apple Watch ban temporarily lifted. So I'm guessing that you all had heard that the International Trade Commission, the ITC, had recently ruled that Apple violated patents from the company Masimo to use light sensors to assess the amount of oxygen in your blood, making the watch a pulse oximeter. And so Masimo, by the way, is a company, they have patient medical monitoring devices. So basically, when the ITC decided that Apple violated this, they said that, or they banned Apple from importing the Series 9 and Ultra 2 watches into the US, and this went into effect in December. However, Apple went to a US Court of Appeals and they paused that import ban temporarily because Apple, who, by the way, has countersued Masimo now, Apple is also trying to find a software workaround for this so that they're not in violation of the patent and there's no issues there. So the last I had read, and I hadn't heard anything on this in recent days, but the ITC was required to respond to Apple's countersuit by January 12th. So obviously that is coming up very quickly this week. And so you can buy those watches right now, but we don't know what's going to happen, later on this week or down the road.
They might send a firmware update that either disables the feature or changes the way the pulse oximeter feature works to work in a less accurate way to avoid stepping on the supposed patent. So if you go out and rush out and buy one of these watches now, thinking that you're going to protect yourself from the possibility of this ban coming back, Apple might change your watch after you have it with a firmware update.
Well, and that's possible, Terry. And like I said, Apple was trying a software fix for this. We don't know what's going to happen.
That's my point. What does the software fix do?
We don't know. That's all that's been put out there. Patty, you have a question about this?
No, I have a comment.
Oh, comment. Okay.
So when they announced that they were going to stop selling them, it was about 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I ordered one online to be delivered to me. And I waited, and UPS said that it had been delivered when it hadn't been. And the address that they gave was actually their facility in Round Rock. So I went out there looking for the watch, and they said, well, we don't know anything about it. We don't have it. So I went to the Apple store, and explained to them, because it was the day they were going to cut it off. And it was, I don't know, 20 minutes to 2. And I ordered one while I was standing in the Apple store, and it was supposed to come the next day. And in fact, it never showed up either. And so the bottom line is that UPS must have some sort of theft ring within their facility, because in a week time, I ordered 2 watches and both of them were stolen.
So,
here in Austin, I never received, my orders ended up, I canceled them and got my refund, but not cool. So be careful.
Well, that's a shame. Sorry to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
John, I was going to have John Connor jump in here also, because John, this would be the time you want to jump in and explain what you did.
Sure. Well, again, I read about the ban and was somewhat surprised. Began to look into it a little further. Now, I actually wrote up a thing that I sent to Glen that, again, I can send to for posting on the GAMUG, and if we like it, on the CapMac website. So for now, I'm just going to read from what I wrote down, and just to share. And my experience was quite the opposite, in that we actually went into an Apple store to make our purchase. So we have always purchased new iPhones and watches by trading in our previous models at the West County Apple Store in St. Louis, Missouri. The ITC ruling about the watches posed questions about the future of the Apple Watch, such as how long Apple might be enjoined from selling new watches in the US, which we still don't know, whether Apple would be able to take our watches as trade-ins, since they have blood oxygen sensors under dispute. And by the way, what I had was a Series 8, and my wife had a Series 7, aluminum, GPS only, no cellular. The other question was how to deal with major changes rumored for the Apple Watch Series 10, or maybe Series capital X. We're not sure what it's going to be called. We don't know. So I make it a point not to buy first generation and new technology. So we might have been faced with keeping our Series 8 and Series 7 watches until the release of the Series 11, and hoping they would last. Now, Apple was allowed to resume sales of the Series 9 on the Apple Watch Ultra 2 when a federal appeals court stayed the ITC ruling. I quickly checked Apple's website to see if they were still offering the trade-in, and found they were. So on December 20th, we went to the Apple store and traded in our Series 8 and Series 7 watches, for Series 9s. Now I go on, there were some other things that we did at the store, but that has to do with that Anchor MagSafe device that I talked about earlier. So essentially, I became a little concerned that there might be a serious interruption in the supply of Apple Watches because they've had the pulse oximeter since Series 6. And I was afraid that there might be some difficulty in selling those watches, and thus there might be the trade-in value that I knew our watches had because they're relatively recent might go away. So we decided to go ahead and just trade in for Series 9 now. So now I never thought that I would trade up a Series 8 for a Series 9 because I usually skip at least a couple of generations on watches. My wife's Series 7, trading that in for a Series 9 is not quite so radical, but we decided to go ahead and do that, again, because we weren't sure whether the availability of the watches, what was going to happen to the availability of watches, what was going to happen to the possible trade-in value for ours. So we felt it was basically a matter of striking while the iron is hot, run to the store, do the trade-in while we can. And thankfully, they had the model and color and so forth of the Series 9s that we wanted available. So we went ahead and got them. Wearing them now, we like them very much. Pretty much end of story.
Sorry here, I flipped ahead. I didn't mean to hit that. All right, thanks, John. So yeah, we don't really know, where this will end up yet. I would not be shocked if we do see some kind of software update for watches coming from Apple, though, to try to solve this whole problem. But there's a ton of news out there on this, so I'm sure that we'll be hearing more about it sometime this week. All right, now to get into some little tips and tricks and things. I don't know how many of you use the Apple TV a lot, but we run everything in my household through Apple TVs. We have multiple ones have them on all of our TVs, and I've been kind of annoyed with tvOS recently because what Apple is doing is sort of trying to make the Apple TV app the hub of all of your Apple TV usage. And so if you're familiar with this, you're going to get a screen that looks something like this, where they're previewing something, and then they have like an up next bar where you'll find things that you've been viewing that are, there. They'll also have other rows of things that are telling you, oh, you should watch this, or we think you'd enjoy this, or whatever. Well, what I find when I go to my Apple TV is that I'm in the screen, and then I'm constantly leaving the screen to get to the home screen that has all my apps on it, because I only spend a small amount of time using the actual Apple TV app in there. There's a lot of times that I want to use a different app, Netflix, or we get our live TV through Fubo TV. So I'm going to those. So I was trying to figure out, well, is there a way to change this? And I actually figured out how you can make your default not the Apple TV app, but instead just the screen with all your apps in it, like what it used to be. So if you find that annoying like I do, here's how you do it. Go to your home screen, go to the settings app. Again, looks like the little gear wheel. And once you go into the settings app, then you want to select remotes and devices. And then when you select remotes and devices, click on TV button, and you will see there, I don't know how well you guys can see that right now, but on the right-hand side of the TV button strip, it says home screen, which is where I set it. And you want to switch, set that to home screen. The other option is Apple TV app. And if you click that TV button, it will switch back and forth between the two of them. And if you set it to home screen, now that's what you're going to get. You're going to have all your apps on there, which is what I prefer. So when I hit my home button on the Apple remote, when I first turn it on, it goes to my app screen rather than the Apple TV app, which is what I prefer. All right. My next little thing is how to force restart your iPhone. I don't know about you all, but I find this gets confusing because it's different by model. And so obviously sometimes you have some kind of glitch that forces you to do some kind of forced restart of your phone, which, by the way, sometimes can just be beneficial for cleaning out processes that have been going on in the background that are making your device run slower. And this is the case with all of our devices. So really, it depends on the model of phone. So I thought I would kind of go through that with you guys. And that way, depending on the phone you have, you can figure out how to do it. So if you've got an iPhone 6 or SE, you're just going to press and hold the sleep/wake button and the home button at the same time and release them when the Apple logo appears. And you can see I put in diagrams here just so you guys can see where those are on your phone. If you have the iPhone 7, you're going to press and hold both the volume down button and the sleep wake button together. And again, you release them when the Apple logo appears. So again, you can see where those are. And then if you have the iPhone 8 through 15, you're going to press the volume. They've made it a little more complicated on the newer models. You press the volume up button once and release, press the volume down button once and release, and make sure you do those first two things back to back quickly. And then you press and hold the side button until the Apple logo appears and then release. So I don't know why they had to make it more complicated. I'm not sure what it is about the newer iPhones that require doing the volume up and down buttons first before you hold the side buttons. But so if you need to restart, that's what it is based on depending on what type of iPhone you have. Okay, Find My. I don't know how many of you use Find My, but sometimes it can come in pretty handy. And so it's built into your Apple devices, and it's a great way to locate your devices if they go missing, or you can share your locations with other people. I know, frankly, I think one of the best uses of it is, where the heck did I put my, AirPods? That kind of little thing, when they're sitting somewhere around the house. But so anyway, I thought I would share with you guys here just this quick little video that Apple made on how to use it.
With Find My, you can share your location with friends and family, help find your Apple devices and supported items, and even share items like AirTags with others. We'll show you how to turn on Find My, how to locate and share supported items, how to locate your Apple devices, and how to share your location. When you sign into iCloud on a new device, Find My turns on automatically. To adjust it, open Settings, tap your name, tap Find My, and tap Find My iPhone. If Find My is set up on your iPhone, your paired Apple Watch, AirPods, and Beats headphones are set up automatically too. And if you turn on Send Last Location, you can see your device's last known location if the battery dies. You can use the Find My app to help locate or share supported items like an AirTag in your bag. Tap Items, and then tap an item in the list. You can see it on the map or swipe up on the handle for more options. If it's nearby, you can tap Play Sound or Find Nearby to help you find it. To share the item, tap Add Person, then read about item sharing, and tap Continue. Next, choose a contact using iCloud on their device and tap Share to send the invitation. Everyone sharing the item needs the latest version of iOS. If the item's location is unavailable, you can turn on Notify When Found, and you can turn on Notify When Left Behind to receive an alert if you accidentally leave it behind. If your item is lost, you can tap Enable under Lost Mode to get a notification when it's found, lock it to your Apple ID so no one else can pair it, and leave your phone number or email in case someone finds it. To help locate a missing Apple device, you can use Find My on another device signed in with your Apple ID, or a device that belongs to someone in your family sharing group. Or you can sign in to iCloud.com/find on any mobile device or desktop browser. Tap Devices to see your devices on a map. Select one and swipe up to see your options, like playing a sound to help you find it nearby. If your device is further away, you can tap Directions to get directions to it in Maps. If you activate lost mode on a device like your iPhone, it's locked with the passcode and linked to your Apple ID so no one else can use it. You can leave a message on the screen with your contact info, and you get a notification if it's found. The device must be connected to the internet to activate lost mode. Think your device is lost for good? You can erase it remotely by tapping Erase this device. Once you confirm, you can still track the device, and if you do find it, you can restore it from a previously saved backup. You can also use Find My to share your location with family and friends. In the People tab, you can see everyone sharing their location with you. To share your location, tap Add, and then tap Share My Location. Select a contact and tap Send. Then choose to share for 1 hour, until the end of the day, or indefinitely. Your friend gets a notification and can easily share their location back with you. And that's how to stay connected with Find My. For more tips, subscribe to the Apple support channel or click on.
So I don't know how many of you have used Find My before. I think it's a pretty handy thing that Apple has put into their devices, and it can be really useful. So like I said, I don't know how many people have used that before. So I thought, it's one of those things that I think a lot of people know is there, but if you haven't used it, you have no idea how to use it. So I thought I would just include that. And by the way, for those people, for our CapMac people, I always put a link, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen. So if you wanted to find out like where I got that video from, you can see that. All right. A pretty new thing here is reactions. And so you can now use what Apple calls reactions. That's literally the title of it. When you, but they are 3D effects of your hand motions or your expressions that you use. And so to show a reaction, you can make a hand gesture in view of the camera, and you hold the gesture until you see the effect happen. And so this can be used with all common types of video software, Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meet. For instance, I don't know the full list of everyone that uses it, but all the common ones you can use it with. To use reactions, though, you have to be on iOS 17, iPad OS 17, or Mac OS Sonoma, running on a Mac with an Apple Silicon processor. You can use it on any Mac, also the pre-Apple Silicon Macs, if you're using continuity camera with an iPhone 12 or later. And so here are the reactions you can use. And rather than me just sitting here acting all these out for you, I thought I'd share this little video.
iOS 17 brings messages like reactions to FaceTime that make your video calls a little bit more fun with cool visual effects. So when you're on a FaceTime video call, you can now trigger on-screen effects like hearts, balloons, confetti, fireworks, and more, with the effects flooding the display over the FaceTime window by just simply using hand gestures. Now, there are 8 reactions total that you can perform, and so here are the gestures to perform those reactions. Now, if you want to show love, you can create a heart shape using both of your hands. If you want to show that you like something, you just simply give a single thumbs up. If you dislike it, single thumbs down. To invoke fireworks, it's actually both thumbs up. And for a storm cloud, it's 2 thumbs down. If you want to overload the screen with balloons, it's just a peace sign with one hand. For confetti, it's peace sign with both hands. And then if you want to get crazy with laser beams all over the place, give the rock on sign, but do it with both hands. Now, if you're on a call that requires you to be a little bit more professional, aka no fun, and you want to turn off those reactions so that you don't do it by accident, you can just go into Control Center, tap on Effects in the top left corner, and then tap the Reactions button so that it's no longer illuminated. And that's it. These fun reactions actually work across iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. So the next time you're on a FaceTime call, feel free to make things a little bit more fun.
All right, so a couple tips for this. And I saw a few people trying these out as they were watching the video there. Use clear gestures that are easy to see on the screen, and the angle of your hands can be really important. So you know, when you're doing it, be very deliberate. Like if I'm gonna, you know, make the heart, you know, it's got to be able to see the heart, and you can see the hearts coming out there. So you have to be deliberate. It's also easier for the device to recognize your hand gesture if they contrast with your background. So if they're blending in, it may not be able to read them. Keep your hands away from your face and body. So do stuff out in front of you here where it's real easy for the screen. Also, if you cover your face while making the gesture, it may not trigger a reaction, or it can take longer for it to happen. And when you make the gesture, hold it. It may take a few seconds. So, you know, if I'm going to do it, hold it there. And you can see it took a second or two before that came up. Now, if you're in a serious meeting, let's say you're in some work related meeting or something that you don't want these accidentally popping up just because you make a certain gesture, or if you're just getting tired of them popping up, you can disable the reactions. And so here's how you do this. And here's another quick little video.
There's this new feature in iOS 17 and macOS Sonoma called Reactions, which is really cute for about 2 seconds. And after that, it's really annoying. The Reactions feature can appear when you're on any type of video call, whether it's FaceTime, Zoom, or something else. And what triggers it is when you make certain gestures with your hands. For example, if you hold up a thumbs up, it gives you that. 2 thumbs up is fireworks. And if you want to learn about the other gestures, I'll put that into a dedicated video. To disable reactions on your Apple Silicon Mac, start a FaceTime call, then click on this icon at the top right. Then under camera settings, click here to disable reactions. If you're on an iPhone or iPad, once again, launch the FaceTime app and then swipe down from the top right corner. You'll then find that same option for video effects here at the top. By the way, this is also where you'll find options for portrait lighting as well as studio lighting. Now that you're not going to get those annoying thumbs up icons popping up at your next HOA meeting, how about clicking the like?
All right. Those are my tips and tricks. I thought I would share a quick little product I came across that, if it's something you're in the market for, looked pretty interesting to me. I don't know that it's something I would buy, but somebody here might be interested in. And it's called the Nuya Scan Reader Pen 4. And so as I put here, it is a translator pen that instantly translates written or spoken words, making it quick and easy to understand foreign languages anytime, any place, in practically any situation. The tiny translating gadget also packs special features for people with dyslexia, as well as for language learners young and old. It can translate text on pages, digital screens, textiles, boxes, and much more. And it can allow you to carry on a conversation using a language you don't know. The pen is equipped with a tiny scanner that you can smoothly drag across the words you need to read. Within a moment, the text appears on the pen's built-in 3-inch LCD ready to translate it. It recognizes 55 languages and can translate into as many as 112 languages. It can read back the text and can recognize your own speech. That means you can use the device as a real-time translator during conversations. The pen also features built-in Chat GPT, so you can research on the go, get directions, and more. There's even dyslexia assistance, which makes the pen automatically highlight every word as it's read. In addition, the Nuya Translator Pen offers several built-in dictionaries, including ones that translate English to Japanese, French, Spanish, Arabic, and many more. Right now, you can buy this for $159.99, but it supposedly sells regularly for $187. And here's a little demonstration of this in use.
Nuya Scan Reader Pen 4 is a multifunctional translator. It can translate text, speech, and photo. It also features dyslexia reading aid, dictionary, scanner, and Chat GPT. It can be used as a photo translator. Take a photo, then the pen will instantly interpret the text. It also supports real-time two-way speech translation.
Can I have one cappuccino, please?
需要别的吗？
No, thank you. It is also a scanner pen. Scan the unique QR code, then everything you scan will be simultaneously on your device. You can translate the scanned content to another language with one click and export it to TXT, Word, and PDF format. This feature works for any system of mobile, tablet, and computer. This pen supports 112 languages text translation. This pen also builds into Collins Dictionary. Slide the pen over the word, and the pen gives the pronunciation, definitions, example sentences, and more. Click any word on the screen, and you can jump to check its definitions. The Dyslexia Aid feature allows you to adjust the reading speed, pauses, languages, etc. It will read word for word aloud and highlight the word when read. And it's a breeze to access the dictionary and save the word for later review. Surprisingly, it is built in ChatGPT.
AI replaced human in 100 years. That's not a language model. I cannot predict the future. However, according to experts,
This pen can scan almost everything, such as toy, jar, iPad, fabric, bottle, snack package, etc. The new Yes Scan Reader Pen 4 is waiting for production, and we need your support to bring this smart invention to life.
So anyway, I came across this and I thought that was a pretty interesting device. I know there are a few things that you can do for apps on your phone and things like that, but I don't know, I thought it was a cool device, so I thought I would share it with you all.
Looks
All
like
right.
Star Trek to me.
What's that?
Looks like Star Trek to me.
You know, it's kind of amazing when you watch Star Trek now and you think about how many devices, you know, that we're now using that you saw on there.
That was the universal translator, I think was the Star Trek word for it,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Nancy, do you have a question?
Yeah, but will it will it read what's on your computer screen?
Now, I've never used it, so I can only guess, but I'm presuming by what they showed, they're showing it all kinds of different, you know, things that they're reading from. So I can't tell you for sure. You'd have to look that up and research it yourself, but my guess is yes, but you know, that's the best I can tell you.
Okay, thanks.
So this next little slide, I just came across this picture, and this was just every Apple mouse I've ever made side by side. And you know, the one thing I first struck me as I look back here and I see the very original mice, and I'm like, man, how ugly those things look now. I also remember the one that came with the iMac is the fourth one there. And it's the round disc. And I remember using those and remembering how annoying they are because they would always turn on you. The cord would turn them and you'd always have to reoriented them to use them. And I don't know if anybody else remembers using those things and how annoying that shape turned out to be.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, I'm not a big TikTok guy, but I saw this video from Money Minds. And so the person on there asked women, if a guy is 10 out of 10, but he has an Android, what would his new rating be? Because he didn't have an iPhone. So I thought I'd share this with you. There's just a bit of humor in closing here. If I can find it, where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
He's a 10, but he has an Android phone. What's his new rating?
A 3. That's a 0. That's hard. It's a 0. Our pictures for Instagram are gonna be terrible. It's green text, and I'm doing blue. I feel like it's that great. iPhone all the way. Why are you having an Android? Go get your money up. Get out of the house. If you don't have an iPhone, you're a nerd. And I'm not doing WhatsApp either. Are you broke? Like, how can you not afford an Apple?
So anyway, I saw that. I don't even remember how I came across that video, but I saw that video and I just thought I got a chuckle out of that. And, you know, I just retired from teaching high school last spring, and the iPhones really are a status symbol in this country as opposed to Android. So anyway, there you have it. There are Glen's goodies. And I hope that you guys got something out of that and enjoyed that.
Thank
Glenn,
you.
a quick comment on the mice slide, if you don't mind. When I worked part-time at a CompUSA store here in town, which has since closed, when the iMacs had just come out, and we actually sold a piece of plastic that was color coded to the color of the mouse and the color of the iMac. I think I said iPad. Sorry. When we had the multicolored iMacs with the matching color, what we call the hockey puck mouse, that round one, we actually sold a piece of plastic that was teardrop in shaped that would snap onto that mouse, and then it would impose an asymmetry on the design so that you could see which way the mouse was pointing, so that you didn't have that annoying problem that you were talking about where you didn't know, you clicked it and you thought you clicked here and you really had clicked there.
Yeah,
So
I just remember that.
Yeah, the mouse was so bad that you had to buy an appliance to make the bloody thing usable.
I just remember always struggling with that thing. And I'm glad you brought that up, John. It wasn't, obviously I wasn't the only one that drove me crazy with that thing.
There's a story, I don't know if it's apocryphal, that they used to do that to Steve Jobs, put the mouse backwards.
Knowing his person, knowing what his personality was, I'm not sure how well that went over. All right. So anyway, trying to think. I believe, Nathan, you got a couple apps you're going to talk about now.
Sure. Let's see. No, stop. I don't want to do that. I want to share my phone screen. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a couple of apps. First one is one that came in the latest update to iOS 15, and that is Apple's Journal app. Now, I think it's just my opinion right off the bat. I think it's a non-starter because it's only on the iPhone. It's not available yet on the iPad or on the Mac. I'm a big day one user. I've used it for over a decade for my journaling, and this just is very, very limited right now. But I have done a few journals in it. And it looks like I heard a good description of it, that someone on the podcast called it like a social media for one. And it's just your entries in just a long list. It has the day you can put in. It has I guess the best part of it is the API. So it will take whatever you're listening to and say, do you want to write about what you were listening to, or a location that you visited? Although a lot of the times I get, you ate at such and such place, do you want to write about it? And I'm like, no. But and then so it's taking location data, it's taking music data, and it's taking photo data. So here's some of the journaling suggestions. Your trip to Orlando and Lake Buena Vista or Disney World, the Friday trip to Kennedy Space Center. And describe the most memorable part of your week. Highlights from your photo memories. So it uses the API to give some recommended ideas for what you might want to write about, or you can just start a new entry. Soon, it should start integrating with more third-party apps, including Day One. But for right now, it's just utilizing Apple's apps, own apps. So that's just a quick overview of the new journal app.
Nathan,
Like
can you speak to it, or do you have to type it in?
You can. So I'll add a new one. You can do what you normally do. Like you can tap on the little microphone at the bottom and start talking. I am writing a journal entry, but the dictation is not entirely accurate.
Thanks. I appreciate that because I got fat fingers and
Yeah.
my eyes don't know where the keys are on the keyboard, but my fingers do, which you can't touch type on an iPhone.
Yeah. But then while I'm in the new entry, there are some other things here. You have your recommendations. You can add pictures, or from your photo library, you can take a new photo and add it to your journal. You can add a voice memo, so you can have just a audio recording, or you can search for a location. So, oh yeah, and you can, and I'll just go and delete that one. So that is Apple's journal. I'm still not going to give up Day One anytime soon because this is only available on the iPhone. Day One is over a decade old, and it's so much more full featured, as well as being available on the Mac, where I mainly want to do my journaling. The other one I wanted to talk about today is kind of interesting. It's kind of related to a journaling app, but it almost does it itself, and that is called Life Cycle. So what it does every day is that it will count your steps, count your sleep, count how long you were at home, your commute time, and your work time. So for example, I was 8 hours and 17 minutes at work, 9 hours of sleep, 4 hours at home, 22-minute commute, 13-minute commute. And then you have a question mark. And so using your app, it tells you where you were. And so I can choose the location, which was Jiggers Elementary School. And this was here I'm starting to learn after using this for a year that's kind of better to do a little bit more specific. So I'm going to say this was a professional development. And then you can click on an icon. And I'll just choose the graduation cap and then a color. And so now I have that into what happened for today. And so I can go back, this is yesterday, and then Sunday, and then every Sunday, it gives you a week's worth. And this is what I really like about it, is that it gives you trends. So 57,500 steps during that week. I visited two new locations. This was the first week in a while where you spent some time on meetings, specifically 5 hours. You also picked up on groceries, which you haven't done for a while. You spent more time on commute to home than you usually do, 1 hour and 33 minutes. Your average is around 51 minutes. You're at home less than usual, around 51 hours compared to your average of 60. You slept a bit more than usual. You worked less than usual, just 31 hours compared to your average of 37 hours because it was a 4-day work week. We had a Monday off. And then exercise, 9% decrease from your usual average. And then you can get a month. So this is for the month of December. 121 unique locations. So you can see Texas and Florida. Transport and motion. You had 2 days with no transport at all where I didn't leave home. So on 7 unique places for lunch. And then now that I've used it for a year, I have all of 2023. So you've worked during 60 days, slept an average of 8 hours a night, slept about 200 hours per month. Top locations, band rehearsal, 26 hours, visiting my parents, about 25 hours, and so on. Meeting, this is where I said I need to be more specific because meeting is Toastmasters I go to every Tuesday night. And so that was 29 hours. So the trends are kind of an interesting feature of this app. And it's called, again, it's called Life Cycle, and it is a subscription. It's about $30 a year. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for sharing both of those with us. All right, I think next on our agenda then is Steve Maynard, and Steve's gonna be talking about smart plugs. So Steve, the floor is yours.
All right, sir. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Let me get my notes out. Okay, first of all, hello, CapMac. It's good to be with you. I think this is a really cool thing to do. When I give presentations at our GAMUG meetings, one of my favorite topics is product reviews. And did somebody say something? There's not. For several years, I've been installing smart plugs and smart wall switches in our house and adding them to the HomeKit app on our phones. There are many makes and models to choose from. For example, our president, John Connor, uses a brand called Kasa, K-A-S-A. And though the accessories, they appear to work the same way. In fact, they look a lot alike. So my suspicion is that it probably comes from the same factory in China. So I'll get this out of the way right off the bat. These are the two products that I'll describe. And if you buy directly from Belkin, the prices are $30 for the smart plug and $50 for the wall switch. Now, the term thread refers to a technology that enables devices to work faster, to have fewer points of failure, they use less power, and they communicate with each other more seamlessly. Now, last Thursday, trying to change slides and it stopped working on me. Okay, something's gone amiss here.
Dave, you want to try to quit it and start it again?
No, I got it going.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, last Thursday, when I went to the Belkin website, this pop-up appeared. 30% off if you subscribe to their emails. And that's a pretty good discount. You can also shop on Amazon and eBay and other sites to see where you can get the best deals. I checked Amazon earlier today, and you can buy multi-packs with a lower cost per unit. So it pays to shop around. This is what you want to look for on your phone or on your Mac. If you're not already acquainted with Apple HomeKit, then you really should check it out. HomeKit is a system that lets you control all your home's compatible smart accessories. The app called Home is the means by which you can add accessories to HomeKit and control them. The app is probably already on your phone or your Mac. Setup for the Wemo devices is simple. I'll use the smart plug as an example, though the setup for the wall switches is similar. You plug in the smart plug and you hold down the button on the side. It will blink orange while it searches for your Wi-Fi. And when it turns blue, it's ready to be added to HomeKit. And that usually takes a minute or two. Open the Home app on your phone, tap the plus sign in the upper right, and from the menu, you select Add Accessory. The smart plug came with a card with a QR code. The app can use your phone's camera to read the code and automatically add the accessory. And that usually takes a minute. So if you have trouble using the QR code, there's also an 8-digit number that you can enter manually. And here's a tip. That QR code is unique to that accessory that came with it. You can peel off that QR code, so I suggest you stick it to the side of the accessory in case you ever need to do a reset. Each accessory has its own settings panel. You can name the accessory. In this case, what you're seeing here is my porch light controlled by a smart wall switch. You can identify the device that the accessory controls, such as a table lamp or a floor fan. You can add several accessories to a room or to a scene. For example, my house has 4 exterior lights that are all included in the same scene. I can turn all those lights on or off with a single tap. Another example is to turn on or off all the lights in a room or in your house if you want, so you don't have to come home to a dark house. You can set up a schedule for an accessory to turn on or off. I replaced an old timer with these smart wall switches. The timers were kind of a pain because as the days get longer, the lights were coming on outside while the sun was still up. So I had to readjust that, to tweak it every few weeks. But with these accessory settings, you can set your device to turn on or off according to sunset and sunrise. You can do it 15 minutes after sunset or 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. I have our outdoor lights set to turn on shortly after sunset and to turn off just before sunrise. It's a very handy feature as the days get longer. You just set it and forget it. And you can also use Siri to give audible commands to HomeKit, such as turn on the living room lights or turn off the floor fan in 2 hours. HomeKit also works with these devices that I have listed. So far, I've just talked about smart plugs and smart switches. This list shows other devices you can control using the Home app, anything that is compatible with HomeKit. Incidentally, the Belkin smart plug can operate devices that draw as much as 1,600 watts, so you could use it on a space heater. Now, I've been looking for a smart electric water kettle that is compatible with HomeKit. And so far, all I've found are kettles that work with Alexa or with a standalone app, but none that explicitly say HomeKit. So if anybody knows one, please make a comment in the meeting chat. I'd like to know about it. Here are some useful links for more information. The Belkin link will take you directly to the page with smart plugs and wall switches. But as I said before, check Amazon, eBay, and other sites to shop around. The Tom's Guide webpage is a few years old, but it still has good information. I'll convert these slides to a PDF along with my narration, and our secretary, Ron Mueller, will post the file on the GAMUG website within the next day or two. You're welcome to check it out and get the information. So anybody have any questions or comments?
Steve, I would love to find one that would work with my coffee maker, but I haven't
Yeah.
heard of one yet.
Well,
You need to
that's,
have a home hub in order to use this.
No, they connect directly to your Wi-Fi.
well, earlier today when I got on, I was telling everyone that my thermometer went off today, and so I have to get that fixed or get a new one or whatever. So I had that hooked up to the Wi-Fi. I mean,
Your
to the HomeKit.
HomeKit?
Yeah,
You-
and I also have my HomePod connected to that system as well.
Are you talking about your thermostat?
Yeah, my thermostat and my HomePod.
Yeah, okay. You said thermometer on it. It threw me.
Oh yeah, thermostat. I'm sorry, thermostat.
Yeah, I have a HomePod too, and it's nice to be able to control it, play music. It's another device that is compatible with HomeKit.
Yeah, I liked at Christmas time that you could tell it to play Christmas music in it, and
There
it
you
would
go.
play Christmas music.
Yeah. Now we have a smart thermostat. It's called a Sensi, but it doesn't work with HomeKit. You have to open the app and tweak it.
Yeah, I have Echo B.
Echo and Nest,
Mhm.
I think, are both compatible.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve, how can you make a deadbolt work with home app? Do you have to buy a special kind of a deadbolt?
Yes. On the outside, it has a combination lock, a cipher lock, enter numbers to open it. But on the inside, you can close the bolt manually, or you can control it from an app. It takes batteries. Your door has to be really well aligned with the striker for it to work.
My
I've got
brother had a problem with the garage door, getting it to work with that. He's finally got it working. I think maybe he had to use the Android app though. Hey Google. He used both Hey Google and Hey Siri in his house.
I've got kind of a hodgepodge of accessories. I've got a Nest thermostat, which ended up being enveloped by Google, so I can use either of the apps to get at it. I've been using the Amazon. Is it Amazon? Yeah, the Amazon universe there for music and stuff like that. And the plug that will recognize whether it's supposed to be passing electricity or not. And I don't know if I'm going to have to, get rid of everything and choose a network, so to speak, of what's going to work on my home network. Is there ever going to be a time when the items that you get will be universal pretty much? Or are we always going to be dealing with Apple and Windows, or Windows and Linux, or whatever, and we won't be able to normalize our house, and other than the fact that it's pretty well integrated?
The notice that he's posted about his devices, they all had threads at the end. I think that is a endeavor by the industry to try to be agnostic, so you can use either one.
Well, I might try my thermostat on the home app. It's funny though, the home app somehow appeared in the middle of my control center. When I open it to do screen mirroring or turn on the flashlight or whatever. And I can't seem to get rid of it. I'm not interested in it being there. So I've got a bunch of homework to do.
You know, from my experience, I don't see these all ever completely integrating just because they're, you know, the usual turf wars between companies and wanting you to use their products and that kind of thing. And it's a shame because, you know, like you said, I think over time you buy something here, you buy something there, whatever kind of works at the time, and then you've got end up with a hodgepodge of stuff. And unless you want to go buy everything new to be on one system, I think it's hard to do that. But unfortunately, I don't think that we're ever going to see them totally integrated.
Yeah.
That thread standard ends up being a subset of the capabilities of each device that are everywhere. So as you say, Glenn, things with threads will work, but you're only going to get a subset of their full capabilities. If you use their controller and their app, you're going to get more capability.
You know, the funny thing is, I think a lot of this smart home stuff is great. I don't have any of it though. First of all, my wife's argument on that is we don't need to buy it because everything works just fine. And the more bells and whistles you put on something, the more likely it is to break. So I always look for an excuse when something goes wrong, but you know, so far I haven't actually tried any of those things on my house, but I think they sound great. And I know, you know, Steve obviously attests to it. He loves having the, you know, that stuff.
Yes, how do you fit it in with your family's lifestyle? If you live alone, you can do a lot. If you don't, you're limited.
Yeah.
You got to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, my wife is technically challenged when it comes to anything technical. And the problem is she wants to try some things, but when it goes sideways, I have to go in and figure out what broke and take care of it. So if I hooked up my house with all those devices, I think I'd be jumping off a bridge the next week.
Well, that's why those switches that were mentioned, where you place the wall switches, are useful, because then you can always resort to walking up and turning them on and off.
Yes.
Well, the one thing I don't think I'll ever do is, you know, the utilities are willing to give you a smart thermostat that they can control from their end. And if there's I guess a power shortage or something along that line, and everybody that I've talked to about that, giving a utility the power to regulate your home temperature, it kind of leaves a bad taste in their mouth. I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are about that.
Charlie, I'm with you, whether it be that or the insurance company monitoring your driving habits, or, you know, I don't care what it is. I don't really want to be monitored for my daily habits.
Just remember,
if you save money, you might.
Just remember, we're from the government. We're here to help you.
Yeah.
So true, Tom.
Well, I actually signed up for the app from Amaron in St. Louis, and I thought they would just take it back when they needed it. They changed my whole schedule. They assumed I would be gone in the daytime and turn the temperature down. I'm retired. The thermostat, the schedule they had didn't work. So it took me about 2 weeks to say, nope.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think I'll stay away from that. Even if they are offering me a discount, you know, not for me.
I'm always afraid of somebody hacking in, and you say, "Oh, you know, that's almost impossible that somebody could get into it and, or in this case of the utility, making a mistake and turning your heat off in the middle of winter, or turning your air conditioning off in the middle of summer. That's what I would worry about. You say, well, that stuff never happens. It never happens. I've been a member of a credit union for about 30 years, and they went through some software changes, and they started taking house payments out on the first, and then on the second, and then on the third. And yeah, and they did that several times before they got their software right. So luckily I had money in the account to cover it, but it was just insane. It was just like, how many more of these things you got to take out?
You should have.
CPS has been doing that with Nest in San Antonio, automatically raising the temperature in the summer to conserve energy.
Yes. Well, I heard the Texas power grid's kind of fragile. That's what I've heard.
Let's just say.
Depends on who you
better hope
ask.
that there's not a blizzard. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't trust them, no.
It's not the grid that's fragile, it's the people that manage it that are fragile.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing because it used to work so well automatically all the time. And then a situation came along and now it's been repeated and they still haven't done anything. Soapbox over.
You realize
we
the
called that
control center for
Stormageddon.
that's in Taylor.
You know, I wonder about all these home products because, you know, you mentioned hacking and I don't really ever hear much talk about that, I guess, with these smart home things. But if they're computerized, then there's, you know, a way to hack something, but you don't, I don't know. I haven't really heard much about it. I don't know if you guys have.
Well,
I don't think there's a lot of money to be made that way.
Alexa.
They're not hackable unless they're connected to the internet. If you can just put an automatic device that you can control and it's not connected to the internet, probably should be safe.
As long as the devices aren't calling home and being able to pick up software that way.
That brings up another question. What are the best devices that work on our LANs, our local area networks, that don't really use the internet?
I haven't heard that term in years.
Backup drives, NAS, network attached storage, that doesn't use the internet, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, or set up if it doesn't have to call home, set up an independent network separate from the one that your computers are on so that just those devices are on it.
Right, you can do that.
Routers are cheap.
Yeah. Yes.
John?
Who's talking in clicking language?
I don't know. Somebody.
Oh, that was me. That was me. Sorry. I forgot I had.
Somebody call my name?
Isn't one of the advantages of HomeKit enhanced security? If I remember, I don't know if I'm remembering this or just imagining it, but I seem to recall, at least in the early days of HomeKit, was that that platform provided the people whose products are HomeKit compatible with a way to sort of lock them down so that they don't rely so much on the app that the developer, that the manufacturer has developed. If they have to route all of the functionality through HomeKit, that means that Apple has the opportunity to make that device more secure in that the operation of the device has to meet Apple's criteria, not the manufacturer's criteria. And insofar as Apple's ecosystem is a more customer friendly and more secure than other platforms are, then maybe a smart home device that operates through HomeKit would be less of a risk of being hacked into. I agree with Charlie. It's a scary prospect, and I certainly don't want it to happen, to me or to any of us. But I thought I remembered that something that is HomeKit compatible is by that fact a more secure device than if the device were not running through HomeKit, if it were just running through its native app. Not sure if, again, I'm not sure if I've got that right, but I seem to recall having heard that somewhere.
The early devices, Apple required to have a physical chip in them for security. But after a while, they relaxed that and they now allow the same functionality to be implemented in software.
Did
The
that-
net
President-
result, though, should be, as you suggest, John, that they are more secure than cheaper ones.
I think security is a priority for Apple.
I agree. President Purvis,
Yes, Kogi.
do you want me to wait and do my presentation for capsule next time?
Maybe it would be a good idea, given that we're almost 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
You mind doing that?
no, I don't mind at all.
Okay. We'll put you on the list for next time.
Okay.
Well, with Kogi generously volunteering to forego her presentation for this evening, we're now finished with everything we had on the schedule. I do hope that everyone, both our CapMac members as well as our visitors from GAMUG, have enjoyed tonight. I certainly have learned several new things. I think that Glenn gave me the answer for a question my wife has yet to answer about the Apple TV. And I will be fixing that tonight. But it has been a very interesting meeting from my point of view. I hope everyone out there enjoyed it. I look forward to hearing some feedback from our members outside of the meeting about, what they think and where we should go in the future. With that said, Glenn, do you have anything to add?
Well, I just echo what you said. I thought it was a great meeting tonight. It's great to have, this many people here and interaction back and forth. I enjoyed tonight's meeting and I would love for us to do some more stuff in the future. And John, I know that you guys have put out there to us if we'd like to join you next month because you've got a guest speaker. And our members don't really know about that yet. But I don't want to speak for our group yet, but I think we would love to join again and hear your speaker. But we'll talk to our group and get back to you on that.
What is the topic of the speaker?
Nathan, can you answer that?
The speaker is Dave Hamilton, and he is going to be talking about cool stuff he found at CES.
Oh.
And if you don't know who that is, he used to be with Mac Observer, and he does the Mac Geek Gab podcast. Okay. Anyone have anything else to add before we call it a wrap for this evening? Yes, Don.
If I may, just for a brief backtrack, when reactions were being spoken about, it was said that if you go to your control center itself, that you would find an icon there that you would use to deal with reactions, to learn how to use them and all that. I could not find that, and I could not find it in system settings and going to control panel within that and find anything. So I'm gonna
Don, I can help you real quick. So if you're looking on your Mac, are you doing this on a Mac or an iPad, or what are you on right now?
I have a phone and a Mac, and so whichever's easiest.
Well, if you're like on your Mac right now, if you look up there, you're going to see a little green like video camera icon up on your menu bar.
Yeah.
Click on that. And if you go down, you'll see reactions, and there's a little arrow there. And if you click that arrow, you'll see the reactions that are possible. So if I hit one of them, like if I hit the balloons, you see the balloons coming up here.
I get speaker gallery, release, video order, hide self view. The only other green dot I've got is the green dot of the camera itself up in the bezel.
So you're not seeing on your the Mac menu bar up top there. Are you seeing a little icon? Like I get a little, it's like a white video camera on a green background icon. If I click it,
I see that. Yes.
click on that and you get a drop down. It'll say zoom. Then I see a picture of myself. And then below that, like FaceTime HD camera. And then you'll see reactions. Do you see that?
I've got mic mode and standard, which I can click on twice.
What operating system are you running?
That, yeah, what OS are you running?
So I clicked on the green box with the video camera in it, got the little video underneath with the Zoom title, and then my picture, and then mic mode under that. And beside that is the word standard, which has a down arrow. So if I click it, I get standard for the microphone and voice isolation, and that's all I get.
Yeah, if you're not on Sonoma, you're not going to see it.
This is Sonoma. It is also an Intel chip.
Ah, no, you have to be a.
Yeah.
Yeah, M1.
Yeah, you've got to have a Apple Silicon chip.
So I'm in the wrong club.
Although I haven't tested this out. What
Right on your
version,
phone.
what version of iPhone do you have?
I have an 8, no, a 14 Pro Max.
Okay, if you're using your iPhone as a continuity cam, then it should allow you to do it from what I understand.
I haven't set that up, so I guess I ought to do that, huh?
Also, on your phone or your iPad, it's going to be like on your, if you're using your phone and you're doing, video, some kind of video chat on there, then just pull down, control center and you'll see it, a thing for it in there, but you won't see it unless you're on a video, some kind of video call.
Okay. Well, I'm plenty enough on Zoom and Google Meet, so. And
Yeah,
whatever.
but try using your phone as your camera instead of your computer.
Okay.
And what it sounds like to me is you'll be able to use the gestures, but until you try it, I can't tell you for sure it's going to work.
I've seen them elsewhere, but I can't remember where it was because I would do that to my friends sometimes, for a birthday wish or something. I'd find the balloons and do them, but I can't remember how I did it. So, thank you.
Sure.